Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dugout Daily. I'm Charlie, and I'm joined by Bernard. How are you, mate?
I'm fine, Charlie. Great to be back on after a victory at last. It's been at least a couple of weeks.
Yeah, definitely. A 4-1 win then on Sunday away to Southampton, with Laporte scoring Southampton's goal, with Sterling, De Bruyne, Foden, and Mahrez scoring City's. What was your thoughts on the game, Bernard?
Yeah, I thought Southampton had a go. In all fairness, I think considering they had the two substitute forwards playing as well, which astounded me really. But someone did point out perhaps we were trying to wear us down and then bring on the guys late on, which they did anyway. But try and sort of catch us later. But I just don't understand why Hasenhüttl didn't play one of his better teams from the start, because to be honest with you, if you had a couple of sharper forwards on, they could have easily had a couple of goals, 2 or 3 goals in that first half, because they certainly created almost as much as we did in that first half. So yeah, I thought they'd give it a go, and thankfully we didn't go a goal behind, which I dreaded because of their time wasting. And obviously, ironically, the only book in the game was against us for time wasting. Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
But do we care? No, we don't. Not after that January debacle at their place, that's for sure. But yeah, they give it a good go. But once we kicked it, we went up a gear after about 70 minutes. We had a long time to wait. There was only one winner then.
Yeah. We'll look at the team then from Sunday. So it was Stefan in goal, a back four of Walker, Stones, Laporte and Cancelo, with Rodri, De Bruyne and Gundogan in the middle, Jesus on the right, Sterling on the left, with Grealish in the false 9. What was your thoughts on the City team, Bernard?
Yeah, front three was more or less what I thought. I was surprised KDB was playing. I thought Foden might have been stuck in there, and I was surprised Zinchenko didn't get a start. I was surprised that Ferner didn't get a start. I certainly wouldn't have minded him in there instead of Rodri, because I don't think Rodri's been doing that well previously the last couple of games before this. So it was a strong team, and I think most people perhaps picked the front three, but the rest of it was Pep sort of threw a couple of curveballs in there, a little bit different to what we might have thought.
Yeah. And the Southampton team looked like this. It was Fraser Forster in goal, a back four of Livramento, Jack Stevens, Salisu, and Kyle Walker-Peters, with Stuart Armstrong on the right, El Yunusi on the left, with James Ward-Prowse and Romeu in the middle, and Adam Armstrong up top, with Shane Long. What was your thoughts on the Southampton team, Bernard?
Yeah, as I said, I was chatting to a couple of Southampton fans in the pub down there before the game, and they were quite happy to see Shane Long and Armstrong playing up front actually in the game, because just for the sake of giving them games, because obviously they're not their main guys, are they, up front, especially Shane Long, who obviously getting on. I think I don't know how old he is. He must be knocking on a bit now. I'm not too sure, but they do seem to like him, and they were happy that it was playing. But as I said, from our point of view, I'm quite happy they were playing and not the two main guys. Unfortunately, people like Ward-Prowse, we didn't give any sort of dodgy free kicks in his range away, did we? Which was good to see. Obviously, Pep was praising him, wasn't he? And that Salisu was an interesting character, but I think he played quite well last time. I don't think he played quite as well this time.
No, Shane Long's now 35, so that shows how long he's been around. We'll look at the stats then from this one. 36% possession to 64, 13 shots to 19, 3 shots on target to 6, 5 shots off target to 7, 5 block shots to 6, 6 corners each, 2 offsides each, 5 fouls each, no yellow cards to 1, 2 big chances to 4, 2 big chances missed to 2. Both teams hit the woodwork once, 1 counter-attack to none, 1 counter-attack shot to none, 8 shots inside the box to 12, 5 shots outside the box to 7, 2 saves for Forster, 3 for Stefan, 311 passes to 569, 73% accurate for Southampton, 83% accurate for City. 45% accurate long balls to 42%, 17% successful crosses to 33%, 47% successful dribbles to 63%, 142 times Southampton lost possession to our 140, 39 duels won to 41, 14 aerial duels won to 10, 13 tackles to 15, 11 interceptions to 7, and 13 clearances to 23. Do you think those stats fairly represent the game, Bernard?
Yeah, I think a 4-1 scoreline isn't really reflected. I thought Southampton weren't too bad. That's certainly some of the best stats we've seen against City since we've been doing this. And the thing that stood out for me, my sort of pass completion for City, I think the one that I looked at came out at 82%. Yours showed 83%. But either way, a low 80s is possibly the worst we've had that I can remember this season. We've always been at least 88% upwards, up to 92%. So, and I could, being there and watching it, I did lose count of how many times a pass went out of play for a throw-in or from City. Obviously, most of the problem with Southampton's was their things were going to City players. At least ours was just going out of play or not quite working. But very surprised at the pass completion rate by City. It might have been because of the press. Southampton put us under more pressure perhaps than some teams do, and the fact obviously that back five and Rodri under a little bit more pressure than normal, especially with Stefan in goal, who obviously isn't Ederson. As obviously it's a simple thing to say, but we're not quite as effective, not quite as calm when Stefan's there as we are when Ederson's there. We know Ederson's a nutter, but at the end of the day, the defence are quite happy for him to be a nutter. But with Stefan, not jittery, but we're just not as confident, I don't think, defensively for playing that ball around distribution. So I mean, some of that poor 83% pass completion was probably just the pressure on us by Southampton, and we weren't quite as good as we normally are in that sort of role.
Yeah. And the attack momentum looks like this. Southampton had quite a lot of periods throughout the game compared to normal opponents. But, of course, that second half, we made them pay with 3 second-half goals.
Yeah, it was short and sharp, wasn't it, with Southampton? Say that most of those, obviously, the attack momentum's with City generally, but obviously that's because City hold the ball a lot more. But that was short. They sort of didn't exactly hit us on the break. I thought they did some pretty good moves. They weren't sort of breaking because, as I said, they were playing a high press anyway. They were pressing us right up the pitch, so they didn't have to break away. But when they did attack, they were quite good movement. It was just them up front in front of goal, like us in a way, that they were just sort of just falling down slightly. But as you say, those stats there are amongst the most impressive we've seen against City this season. Yeah.
On to some other stats and facts then. City's men's team weren't the only City team to make a semi-final this weekend, with the women's team also making the Women's FA Cup semi-final. Wolves versus City in the Premier League is now postponed and will be changed to a different date due to us going through. And City have now scored 4+ goals in a single match for the 80th time under Pep Guardiola in all competitions, 22 times more than any other English club. We'll go to the keeper then, Zach Steffen. First up, his stats look like this: 3 saves, 1 out of 1 successful run out, 1 high claim, 2 saves from inside the box, 53 touches, 83% accurate passes, 1 out of 8 accurate long balls as well. Thoughts on Steffen's performance, Bernard?
Yeah, I thought Steffen was okay. I just thought he can't distribute it like Ederson can. So when we do want to come under pressure, he's not capable quite as easily as Ederson, kind of lifting it over and getting it, to near the halfway line to a City and finding a City player. He's not as good as that. So that's what Southampton based their press on, because they knew we wouldn't be as comfortable at the back as we usually are. He made a great save, of course, at 2-1. He made himself big. Obviously it hit his arm in some way, but it's just the fact he made himself big, and perhaps Shea Adams should have done a little bit better and should have equalised. But he was there to block it and make the save. But yeah, as I say, I'm not overly impressed with Steph in the last couple of games I've seen him. I wasn't overly impressed again, with the game against Southampton. He didn't do anything particularly wrong, but he's just not as comfortable at the back, and we're not as comfortable as back with him there. And I'll be honest with you, if he carries on, which he probably will, playing him in the FA Cup, we've got a semi-final coming up. It dilutes our chances of winning it for me, because he's so, our system is based on the qualities of Edison, and it's not the same. It's just not the same as Stefan's playing. No offense to Stefan, but we're just not as efficient at the back and clearing our lines and staying calm. And so I think if he does play him in the semi-final, which he probably will, there's a good possibility. It's a weakness. It knocks us down a little notch on our strengths, unfortunately. But it's all fairness to Pepe. If he sticks with his keeper, that's how it should be. But I think it does narrow our chances of winning when Stefan's in goal, unfortunately.
Yeah, and he tweeted after the game, through to the Emirates FA Cup semis, next stop, Houston. So we'll go to the right back then. Kyle Walker, his stats look like this: 2 clearances, 1 block shot, 1 interception, 4 tackles, 5 out of 5 ground duels were won, 1 out of 2 aerial duels were won, 14 times he lost possession, 79 touches, 79% accurate passes, 1 key pass, none out of 2 accurate crosses, 3 out of 10 accurate long balls, and 1 out of 1 successful dribble attempt. Thoughts on Walker's performance, Bernard?
Not the greatest stats there, I don't think, Charlie. From looking at those stats, but I thought he played all right. I thought Walker, when they did break, it was Walker who was back there sweeping up and looking confident and either getting it back to Stefan or getting it out. It was. I thought he played quite well. Those stats perhaps don't reflect the fact that he was possibly, certainly with John Stones we'll talk about, but he was definitely played very, very well in defence, and we could always rely on him to get back. But those stats don't particularly show it. But I thought he had a good game.
Yeah. Next up, then, the man you've just mentioned, John Stones. His stats look like this: 9 clearances, 1 block shot, 1 tackle, 2 out of 2 ground duels were won, 2 out of 4 aerial duels were won, 7 times he lost possession, 82 touches, 90% accurate passes, 3 out of 5 accurate long balls, and 1 out of 1 successful dribble attempts. Thoughts on John Stones' performance, Bernard?
Well, when he plays by the side of Laporte, I always think Stones is our main man. Laporte's okay, but I think Stones. The only thing we miss with Stones as opposed to Diaz is that sort of leadership. Stones doesn't have the authority perhaps the Diaz does, but I thought he played very, very well against Southampton. Certainly better than his centre-half partner I'm going to talk about now. But I don't think he did anything wrong, and I think he had another good game. And as I said, from me, for me, it's Diaz and Stones as our centre-half partnership every match as much as we can.
Yeah. And next to him, the man who scored Southampton's goal, Aymeric Laporte, his stats look like this: 2 clearances, 2 tackles, 1 last man tackle, 1 on goal, 2 out of 2 ground duels were won, none out of 1 aerial duels were won, 10 times he lost possession, 79 touches, 86% accurate passes, 5 out of 8 accurate long balls as well. Thoughts on Laporte's performance, Bernard?
Yeah, well, the own goal, I don't know. I was confused as to whether anyone was to blame. I thought he was very slow to react when the ball came across. He looked as though his legs were just stuck in a hole or something. He couldn't move his boot out of the way of that ball that come across. Just a little lack of concentration, perhaps, which we know Laporte has. And to be honest with you, he did it about 3 or 4 times in that Southampton game where he misplaced a pass or something like that. I didn't think he had a great game, Laporte. I thought he's one of his weak, even without the own goal, I don't think it was one of his best performances.
Yeah, definitely not. And at left back was João Cancelo. His stats looks like this: 3 clearances, 2 interceptions, 1 tackle, dribble pass ones, 3 out of 7 ground duels were won, 2 out of 3 aerial duels were won, 19 times he lost possession, 1 foul, 74 touches, 76% accurate passes, 1 key pass, 1 out of 3 accurate crosses, 2 out of 6 accurate long balls, 1 big chance created and 2 out of 4 successful dribble attempts. Thoughts on Cancelo's performance, Bernard?
As a left back, fairly useless. As a left forward thinking midfielder, not too bad. Took, say what weren't the greatest stats there. He's all right, but I think we could give up on the fact of him being a left back. I think his coming back's not very good, but going forward is his strength, and Pep's happy with that. That's how he plays his side. But as an attacking midfielder, perhaps I want a little bit more. If he's going to be that, then a few more goals or a few more assists would come in nicely.
Yeah, definitely. Into the midfield then. First up being Rodri. His stats look like this: 64 touches, 92% accurate passes, 3 out of 3 accurate long balls, 2 shots blocked, 1 out of 1 successful dribble attempts, 3 out of 5 ground duels were won, none out of 2 aerial duels were won, 6 times he lost possession, 1 foul, he was fouled once, 4 clearances, 2 block shots, 1 tackle, and he was dribbled past once as well. Thoughts on Rodri's performance, Bernard?
Yeah, well, I was at the game. I did actually watch it back as well. I had a chance to watch it back. But as I was at the game, I remember going, "Oh, bloody hell, Rodri, what have you done that for?" So again, another one. But he wasn't alone. As I said, a few City players put it out for throwing and poor passing, and Rodri fell into the same category. I think as the game wore on, I think as Southampton perhaps tired a little bit, I think he came into it a lot more. And it wasn't a disaster from Rodri, but for me. We wouldn't have lost anything by putting Ferner in that role for this game. I think we probably might have gained a little bit more early doors as well. So an acceptable game from Rodri, but nothing spectacular.
Yeah. Next up is Kevin De Bruyne. His stats looked like this. He scored the penalty. 77 touches, 79% accurate passes, 3 key passes, 1 out of 4 accurate crosses, 1 out of 4 accurate long balls, 1 shot on target, 1 shot off target, 2 shots blocked, 1 out of 1 successful dribble attempts, 2 out of 4 ground duels were won, 1 out of 4 aerial duels were won, 18 times he lost possession, 2 clearances, 1 interception, 1 tackle, and he was dribbled past once as well. Thoughts on De Bruyne's performance, Bernard?
Is another into where the stats don't look that good there, the stats, but I thought it was excellent. I think as we've said before, even when it's not been going right, his work rate for me has increased remarkably certainly over the last 6 months when he's been playing. Sorry, 3 or 4 months perhaps, but after that little injury he was out with.
Yeah.
So his work rate's tireless. He's tireless. Well, I thought he added a little bit of class to that on Sunday, but obviously those stats show he wasn't perhaps as successful as it seemed. But he had the bottle to step up and score the penalty, which is all right. Forster nearly got to it, but because he hit it hard, he hit it low. Forster. Because he's about 8'6", couldn't get down quick enough, which is so that's probably a good thing. Because if Mahrez had took it, he would have put it high, and perhaps Forster would have had a better chance going high than he does going low. So all credit to KDB. But yeah, the stats don't show it. But I thought he had a great game. I thought he was definitely our best player on Sunday.
Yeah. He tweeted after the game, next round, and a cheeky tick there. And he said in a post-match interview, I think the first 20 minutes and the last half an hour we did well. In between, we made too many stupid mistakes, and even with our goal, we should have just played it out. There were 30 seconds to go until half-time. He also said we chose the wrong options and Southampton came back into the game. Not a lot was said at halftime, but we had to play better and we did that. And finally, he says, happy is my reaction. We go back to Wembley and we like to play there. We are a step closer to the FA Cup final. Going to Wembley is always amazing. We have been there many times and hopefully we will play good now. Next up then is Ilkay Gundogan. His stats look like this. He got an assist, 65 touches, 89% accurate passes, 4 key passes, 1 out of 1 accurate crosses, 1 big chance created, 1 shot off target, 1 out of 2 successful dribble attempts. He hit the woodwork once, 1 big chance missed, 4 out of 8 ground duels were won, 1 out of 2 aerial duels were won, 9 times he lost possession, he was fouled twice, 1 interception, 2 tackles, and he was dribbled past twice as well. Thoughts on Gundogan's performance, Bernard?
Should have scored. I think he should have scored that goal where he hit the woodwork from about 3 yards. I'd say it came very quickly to him, but I've seen Gundogan. We know Gundogan's capable of scoring those goals, so he should have scored, which is a downer. But apart from that, he was linking everything up all over the place. I thought he was getting stuck in as well. He was getting fouled. And if you remember when he first came to us after that injury, he was always a bit tentative, wasn't he, in tackles and being tackled. But now he's just sort of putting himself about, and if he gets tackled, he gets up and gets on with it. And hopefully his mind's totally spot on now. And I think he was a lot more impressive than the usual, a bit forward thinking as well. So I was happy with Gundogan. I thought he was behind KD, perhaps one of our better players.
Yeah. And he tweeted after the game, we're going to Wembley again. Great second half. We stay on course. And next up is Gabriel Jesus. His stats look like this. 1 assist, 1 shot off target, 1 shot blocked, none out of 2 successful dribble attempts. He won the penalty, 36 touches, 75% accurate passes, 2 key passes, 1 out of 1 accurate crosses, 1 out of 1 accurate long balls, 1 big chance created, 3 out of 9 ground duels were won, 1 out of 3 aerial duels were won, 12 times he lost possession, 1 foul, he was fouled twice, 1 offside, 1 clearance, 1 block shot, 2 interceptions, 1 tackle, and he was dribbled past twice as well. Thoughts on Jesus' performance, Bernard?
Yeah, I don't think he played in his favourite position. I don't think that particularly is his favourite position. He played on the right, didn't he? I think most of them. They switched him to central position. And I thought he played very, very well. I mean, he's not been playing much recently, and he was a bit lively than the last time we saw him. I thought it was a bit quiet the last time he played, but I thought he played very, very well. Won the penalty, which is what right. We know he goes over. Perhaps there was one in the first half where he went over a little bit too easy, and there's nothing really in it that much that would have been. But he won the penalty. I say he worries players, he worries the opposition, and that's what we want. We want in the same way Sterling can do it when he's on fire, where he draws tackles and draws fouls in the box. Jesus, if he gets in the box, can do exactly the same thing. And I thought he played very well, considering he's not been playing much recently. I'm just a bit gutted for him that obviously he's sort of been dropped from Brazil or for whatever reason, which is a shame. But it didn't do him any harm. Obviously, on Sunday, I thought he put 100% in and had a good game. And I thought it was unlucky to be dragged off. Actually, I thought he might have stayed on for a bit longer. Certainly, when it was only 2-1, it just seemed a bit odd. But obviously, Pep had an idea of what he was doing, and we can't complain because obviously he got replaced by a guy who went on and did another great thing for us, didn't he? So he was spot on. But no, I thought Jesus did a good job for us.
Yeah. Next up is Raheem Sterling. His stats looks like this. He scored a goal, 2 shots on target, 2 shots off target, 5 out of 6 successful dribble attempts, 1 big chance miss, 47 touches, 68% accurate passes, 2 key passes, none out of 1 accurate crosses, 1 out of 2 accurate long balls, 6 out of 9 ground duels were won, 14 times he lost possession, 1 foul and 1 tackle as well. Thoughts on Sterling's performance, Bernard?
Yeah, I thought he missed about 3 or 4 big chances. I don't know about one big chance. I'm sure I could certainly remember 2 or 3 off the top of my head. I thought he looked livelier. He was rubbish the last time he played. I can't remember the game now. He was absolutely abject display last time. He looked a lot livelier this time. As I said, he was causing problems. But again, his decision making, he's gone back to the old Sterling. I think we had where he's divers. He's just divering all the time. He's not, just make a decision and do it. This is the problem with Sterling. He just does things and then looks for someone. Now, his instinct isn't there. The natural instinct to know when to cross and when to shoot. Sterling just hasn't got it. He's never got it. If he hasn't got it now, he's never going to get it unless there's something in his mind that someone can flick a switch. I'm not too sure, but he played very, very well. But he should have had about at least a hat trick and a couple of assists as well. So disappointing, even though, as I said, it was a little bit better from him. But again, to say, I certainly wouldn't worry about it if someone come in with a big bid for him and took him at the moment, because he's just not doing it consistently enough for us.
Yeah. And he had a stat that he's now scored in the FA Cup in 8 consecutive seasons. I
think the goal he scored. I've not seen. I sort of saw the replay, but even that was scuffed. That was took a deflection to go in.
Yeah.
I mean, that might not have even gone in without a deflection. So he was lucky to get the goal, but at least he was there. At least he was in the right spot to in the sort of 7 or 8 yards out to be there. So that's fine. At least that's a positive.
Yeah. And the final starter was Jack Grealish. His stats look like this: none out of 1 successful dribble attempts, 27 touches, 86% accurate passes, 1 key pass, 1 out of 2 accurate long balls, none out of 2 ground duels were won, none out of 1 aerial duels were won, 8 times he lost possession as well. Thoughts on Grealish's performance, Bernard?
I think he started very well, and then he just totally went downhill. Obviously, the fans started booing louder and louder as he went down. I think he got fouled. He went down. Obviously, the Southampton fans decided that they'd ring up the booing every time he touched it. And I surely it didn't have an effect on him personally, but it seemed to coincide with that his performance just went downhill. That's one of his worst performances I've seen for him. I bang the drum for him, and I do like Jack Grealish, and that one in the second half where he just tried to pass it back to KDB was marked by about 3 men. When he could have just sort of took a touch and shot himself or done something, and he literally just passed it near the penalty spot, passed it back to KDB, and I have no idea why, because KDB had 3 guys round him. So surely the best thing for Jack Grealish to have done was just try and hit it first time or control and hit it or do it. But very, very strange. And again, it's the divering, isn't it? It's the divering that we see from Sterling. I don't want to see that from Jack Grealish. I want him to go for it. If he gets a chance, just welly it, mate. Just get it. Just bang it in. So very disappointing with Jack Grealish. I thought he's one of his weaker performances.
Yeah. On to the subs then. First up being Phil Foden. He scored a goal, 16 touches, 82% accurate passes, 1 shot on target, 1 shot blocked, none out of 1 ground duels were won, 5 times he lost possession, 1 foul, 1 offside as well. Thoughts on Foden's performance, Bernard?
Yeah, great goal. I mean, he took it well. He obviously sort of chested back to him from a Southampton player, wasn't it? Chested out to him, and he took a bit of control, and a fantastic, brilliant effort. We've seen him do that before. We've seen him miss those, but fantastic goal. And he just at that time of the game where he came on, after when we were 2-1 up, he sort of worked well. And obviously Southampton, you don't want to see players like Phil Foden coming on at that stage of a game when you've been working hard and you're getting a bit tired, and it worked perfectly well, and he scored a great goal and was busy for the time he was on the pitch.
Yeah, definitely. Next up is Riyad Mahrez. His stats looked like this: 1 goal, 2 shots on target, 2 shots off target, 19 touches, 77% accurate passes, 1 out of 1 ground duels were won, 3 times he lost possession, and 1 tackle as well. Thoughts on Mahrez's performance, Bernard?
Yeah, similar to Phil Foden. Southampton must have obviously been a bit, oh God, not him. And he took his goal perfectly well. He gave the goalkeeper the eye to make it look as though he's got to bend it in the far corner. And I'm fairly sure he meant to put it in the near post. And Forster didn't have a clue, did he? He didn't know where it was. He was just rooted to the spot because he didn't expect and what he did. So that's the thing about Mahrez. Sometimes he did this, but he did this for a reason. But if he does get an opportunity, he knows to hit like KDB. If he does get an opportunity, he will smack it. He will put it in a certain place. And that's a bit like Aguero used to do, isn't it? Can't compare Mahrez with Aguero, of course, but he would take a shot when you didn't expect him to. He'd just, you think he'd take half a yard and he'd just suddenly whack it and confuse the goalkeeper. He gave the goalie the eye this time and scored. Fantastic, as I say, again for a little 20-30 minute cameo. He played very well.
Yeah, definitely. Next up then was centre-back Nathan Ake. His stats looked like, actually we got a few stats on we got a stat on Mahrez here. He's now got 10 more goal involvements than any other player this season for City in all competitions, and he tweeted Wembley next. Next up then, Nathan Ake. As we said, 1 out of 1 aerial duels were won. He lost possession once, 12 touches, 91% accurate passes, none out of 1 accurate long balls as well. Thoughts on Ake's performance, Bernard?
Well, he's a straight swap for Laporte, wasn't he? So he wasn't going to do any worse than him. So had to be an improvement.
Yeah, simple as that, really. And he tweeted after the game, semi-finals. As well. Next up, then, Alexander Zinchenko. His stats look like this. None out of 1 ground duels were won. 4 times he lost possession, 19 touches, 75% accurate passes, 1 out of 2 accurate long balls as well. Thoughts on Zinchenko's performance, Bernard?
Yeah, it took me a little while to realise he'd come on. It was only near the end of the game I'd realised he'd actually come on as a sub. But taking over from Cancelo. So again, in the same way, Ake wasn't any worse than Laporte, certainly wasn't. Zinchenko didn't add anything or lose anything bringing him on instead of Cancelo.
Yeah, definitely not. Next up, and the final player who came on from the bench, Fernandinho. His stats look like this: 6 touches, 67% accurate passes, 1 out of 1 aerial duels were won. He lost possession twice as well. Thoughts on Fernandinho's performance, Bernard?
Yeah, I don't think Further's good coming on for the last 3 or 4 minutes when you want to hang on to a game. So obviously he got a couple of minutes more this time, didn't he? But again, I would have loved to have seen him play from the start in this one. So yeah, no real impact. But yeah, he should have been on for them from the start for me.
Yeah, simple as that, really. We'll go to the manager then, Pep Guardiola. Did he get it right on Sunday?
Yeah, I think he did. He surprised us, didn't he? I mean, I don't think he's often made substitutions after we've gone 2-1 up. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know there's any figures on it, but I don't cast my memory back. Obviously, you think about that game against Palace where he said we were flowing, so he didn't want to make any changes. Obviously, there was a slight difference in this game. We mustn't have been flowing even though we were 2-1 up, so he did make those changes, and they were certainly up front where he made the early changes was spot on, weren't they? And obviously Foden and Mahrez worked perfectly. But yeah, so he pretty much got it right. But it's just unusual for Pep that he played 5 substitutes. Perhaps he's getting a bit bored not playing any, and he did whinge about having 5 substitutes. So perhaps he thought, oh, I better add play 5 subs. I'm not too sure the thinking behind the later subs. But then again, there's no young lads on the bench, was there? There's no young lads to bring on for that last 5 or 7 minutes. So he could only bring on seasoned guys anyway. So even though it seemed a bit odd, that's all he could do with the squad he had. He couldn't, if he'd had Mbeti on the bench and Palmer or McAtee, he could have brought them on, couldn't he? But obviously they weren't anywhere near the bench. So yeah, I think he got it right. It could have gone wrong, of course it could, but an interesting mix of what we call our first on the team sheet and the KDBs for me, the Walkers. people like that, and obviously a good mix. But it could have gone wrong. It could have gone wrong, but it didn't. So yeah, he must have got it right.
Yeah. He said after the game, it's not a comfortable victory. They're a tough opponent, and we know it. Now we go into the international break and in 3 competitions. He also said Southampton is one of the best, most organised teams we face all season. They push you with incredible intensity, but the goal we conceded was a consequence of us forgetting to play. Next up, we'll go to Southampton then. How do you think they played, Bernard?
Yeah, I was quite impressed, actually. It's certainly better than the league game. But as I said, I think we would have seen a different Southampton if they'd gone a goal up. I think they would have gone more back into the shell. But just surprised that, I mean, they're only 1 game away from Wembley, a quarter-final. For me, I would have gone my strongest team to kick off the match. But obviously, Hassan Huttle didn't do that, did he? But they are what they are. And they certainly, you know, on balance of play, they didn't deserve to lose 4-1, and they played okay. They're mid-table, and that's where they'll finish in the league. They'll finish mid-table. Got some good young players. Say people like Forster didn't even get a chance to waste too much time because they were always chasing the game, so he didn't have a lot of time to start wasting time, and he wouldn't have been booked anyway. He could have wasted as much time as you want. He would still wouldn't have got booked because it's against us. It's only our keepers get booked for time wasting. But yeah, they're all right. Southampton, they're okay. And as I said, I think they could have done better. I think they, you know, if Hasn't had a slightly different team out, I think they might have certainly put us, made it a closer game than it was. But yeah, they're all right. They're okay. They're just a good team, and they put up a fairly good show.
Yeah. Next up, then, the referee Mike Dean. How do you think he did, Bernard?
Well, only 1 booking in the match, wasn't there, mate? And that was for Stefan. Just says it all, really, about the quality. I don't think Dean's the worst referee out there. In all fairness, I think he's all right. Dean, he's not too bad. He's not. All the others are 1 out of 10. He might be 2 out of 10. Yeah, but as I say, it's just pathetic. It just annoys me, this booking a City goalkeeper. And yes, probably Stefan probably did deserve it, actually, because he was deliberately ignoring what the lino was saying about where the ball should be, and that's why he got booked. You know, he was a good 10 yards further up than the lino was stood, so he knew where the linesman was. Yes, of course, it was game management, but I mean, you see this all the time against us. It doesn't get, you know, very few. I've seen the odd keeper booked at Etihad and stuff when they've been doing that against us, but not many. But it just annoyed me, the fact that there's only 1 booking, and it was our goalkeeper. So yeah, he's useless, but not as useless as all the others.
Yeah. Next up, then, we'll talk about the fans. 5,000 plus made the trip down to Southampton on Sunday afternoon. What were your thoughts on the support from both sets of fans?
Yeah, very good. I mean, they don't have drums at Southampton, but they have these backboards, if you've ever been, Charlie, at the back of the stand, and they bang on it. They bang, you know what they do. So it's like having a drum. It's like having 50 or 60 of them having a drum, imagine it. And sometimes that's louder than the singing, but it was a good atmosphere. I mean, obviously, while they were in the game, the atmosphere was great. It was brilliant. I did say, I've commented, it's unusual when one of their players got an injury on 33 minutes, and the ground sort of emptied. All the Southampton fans are going to the, I know at the Etihad, all right, we're not great, but we don't go as early as the 33rd minute, start going down to the. So whether they thought this guy was going to be down for about 10 minutes and they're all going for a pint, I'm not too sure, or goes to the loo. But and then obviously they were all right. Once he equalised, they sort of livened up. Of course he did, and they were quite loud. And then obviously as soon as City went in the lead, they sort of quickly died out, and the ground quickly emptied after about 73 minutes when we made it 3-1. They were all piling to the exits. I had the impression it's quite, even though it wasn't the biggest crowd, I think it's about 29,000. I think their average is over 30. So allowing for the fact there's 5,000 or so City fans, obviously you'd assume some of the regulars didn't get tickets or didn't go, because that's only makes about 24,000. So obviously they get 32,000, I think, is their average crowd around that. So it was unusual, and yet there seemed to me a lot of people there perhaps who don't go to many games, a lot of half and half scarves, all this sort of palaver. But yeah, I was quite impressed. I was more impressed with the fans than I was against them in January. I thought they were a bit better, but as I said, they were in January they were winning for most of the game, weren't they? We equalised late, but yeah, good atmosphere, good crack. We were singing "When the Saints Go Marching Out." Obviously, that was quite funny. They didn't like that very much. A few hand gestures were given to the City fans. They weren't very responsive to that. But, it's just a bit of banter, isn't it, lads? You've got to take it. But overall, not a bad atmosphere. I watched it back on the telly, actually. I thought the Southampton fans didn't sound as loud as the City fans on the telly. I don't know whether our commentary team have a sort of microphone near the City fans and the Southampton fans, but it didn't really come over on the TV as it did when we were at the games, in Southampton's favour. Yeah. So, because they did put up a good show for most of the game.
Yeah. Man of the match then, who are you going to give it to?
Yeah, I mean, based on his stats, I wouldn't give it him now. But now you've told me those stats, but I thought KDB was excellent. I thought he added a bit of skill to his workman-like attitude, which I love to see. And he didn't seem to get as frustrated as he has done recently, even though he's obviously after the event he sort of said he wasn't happy, didn't he, with certain things. But yeah, I've seen him more frustrated when we've done stupid things. But yeah, KDB definitely was my standout on the day.
Yeah. And there's been a couple of draws since we last had a match reaction. We'll start with the FA Cup semi-final draw, and it's Liverpool at Wembley. What's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, well, it's one of those stages where you probably get sick of playing these teams, and we play them at the FA Cup. We play them in the league the week before, is it? We play them in the league match, so we'll be a bit apprehensive, of course. And can anyone honestly see either of these teams, City or Liverpool, winning both? I particularly can't. I think it might be a draw in there. You can't have a draw in the FA Cup; it'll go to penalties. So even if it's a draw in the Premier League and someone wins at Wembley, it could all end in disappointment. Of course, it could. But I wouldn't mind it getting. Having said that, we didn't really want Palace because we've not scored against them this season. And Chelsea might have done us again, depending on whether Pep's thinking too much about the next game, which is the Champions League, of course. So, and as I said, no disrespect to Zach Steffen, but if Steffen's in goal, we're already down a notch for me on our best team. All right, I assume Alisson, but I think Alisson played against Forest, didn't he? I think they have Alisson in goal, don't they, for the FA Cup? I'm sure Alisson played against Forest anyway, so that's not weakening their team. But unfortunately, all credit to Steffen, but it does weaken our team. Not because he's a bad goalkeeper, just because it changes how we play. I think the style of how we play, and we're not quite as confident. I mean, having said that, that one where the own goal. I mean, I would have expected Edison to come out and probably clatter the ball and the player. So in the same way, but I'd still give me Edison 10 times out of 10 every game rather than Steffen. But I think it'll be a tough one. But we'll see. I'll be more worried about that. Well, let's get the Premier League game over first. I'll think about the semi-final then and whether it's going to be. Obviously, a lot of complaining about it being at Wembley, and there's no trains, is there? There's no trains down, so that'll be fun, won't it? Carbon footprint, everyone in cars and coaches. So that'll certainly help the carbon footprint along, so it's ridiculous. It should be. I actually said we could. I think I did said about Anfield. Have it at Anfield. Give them the Kop. We'll have the rest of the ground. We'll take that, or just have it at the Swamp. Just have it at Old Trafford. I don't mind that rickety old rubber dump. Just for a semi-final, I can take that. It's been a while since I've been in the ground. I've not been able to get tickets for a few years, so it'd be nice to sort of visit the old dump. But I can probably still see it being at Wembley. Just suck it and see. That's what we'll have to do.
Yeah. There has been a statement from the FA about this. Actually, they said the FA will be liaising closely.
Liaising. That is, Charlie. Yeah. Liaising, it's called.
Yeah, liaising closely with both Liverpool and City on all match arrangements, including supporters travel for the upcoming Emirates FA Cup semi-final fixture at Wembley. With further details to be announced in due course, we are also continuing to work with both Network Rail and National Express to find a solution so that the supporters of both teams are able to travel to and from the fixture with as minimal disruption as possible. So basically, it's not getting moved. That's all I've got from that.
I don't understand what National Express have got to do with anything. There's not many guys go there on National Express, is there? I mean, I don't know what, unless they own all the private coach firms as well. I don't see the point of them getting involved. I don't see the point of Network Rail. They've shut the lines. They're not going to suddenly open them just for Liverpool and City fans, are they? So it's just, as you said, it'll just end up nothing will happen, and we'll just have to plough down on coaches and cars and push bikes, whatever we've got to get down there.
Yeah, simple as that. And it was also the Champions League draw this week. We got Atletico Madrid, and then in the semis, if we go through, we'll play the winner of Chelsea against Real Madrid. So what's your thoughts on that one, Bernard?
Yeah, I just worry about the effect it has on other games, Charlie. We're going into that Burnley game, which has become, again, another must-win, because when that game starts, I think we could actually be in second spot, because I think Liverpool play earlier, don't they? So we'll actually go, for the first time in, 3 or 4 months, we'll actually be second in the league, which, all right, we have a game in hand, but it's Burnley. And then, is Pep going to start thinking already about Atletico the following Tuesday? That worries me to death. So Atletico, in theory, it's possibly not the best draw we could have got. I think Liverpool have done very well with Benfica, and obviously Villarreal are the other team that people are fancy playing. But Atletico Madrid, we know what they're like. If they get a goal, it'd be a nightmare, because they know what they're like for time wasting. They'll make Southampton look like kit, as though they've never wasted time in their lives if Atletico get in the lead. So it will be a tough game, but again, it's Pep's mindset as well. That's what worries me. It's not just Atletico, it's his mindset approaching this game and the games in between, the Liverpools, the Burnleys, the Liverpools, etc. It's got to be very interesting to see how Pep copes with this and how the players cope with it.
Yeah, definitely. And finally, it's the international break now, so we don't have a game until Burnley away on the 2nd of April, which you've just mentioned there. How are you feeling for that one?
Yeah, I said it all based on the team, mate. I mean, people say, well, they're battling for their lives, which is fair enough, but they're still rubbish. It doesn't matter if you're battling for your lives. If you're a rubbish team, you're a rubbish team, and they've lost the last 3 games. They're not, they still have a chance of a big chance of getting relegated. All these games in hand soon. They've got 3 games in hand on a couple of teams above them, but they have to literally win them all to start overtaking them. So, yeah, and Burnley are running out of time. Sean Dyche's tenure in the Premiership looks, for me, very, very iffy at the moment. He's probably second favourites to go down at this point in time. And of course, as he said, all right, well, they'll fight fighting for the lives in the way they may get a little bit physical. It may be a tough game. It certainly usually is at Burnley. We very rarely stuffed them. We have done in the past, but not recently. They've been quite close games, I think, the last 3 or 4 times we've visited there. So even though we have beaten them, I think the last 3 times we played there, I think they won the 2 before that. So it's not that long ago. But I do worry, because I don't know what sort. For me, we play our strongest team available. Will Pep? I doubt it very much. Will that mean we may make a bit of a rick with this? It's to the guy who gets paid a lot of money to decide these things, won't we? We can't influence it, apart from the guys going over there to shout and sing. But be very interesting. But we should beat Burnley. If we don't beat Burnley, then just give it Liverpool anyway, and just go for the FA Cup and the Champions League. Because if we can't beat Burnley, we may as well give up.
Yeah. Simple as that. And that's basically everything. So we'll wrap it up there. Just before we wrap it up, where can we find you, mate?
Yeah, just get onto Twitter at Bernard_Dineen. All my links to my Citizen channel and my film and TV channels are on there on YouTube. So I do a couple of other podcasts as well, but all the information's on there. So that's the place to start, at Bernard_Dineen. And follow me on there. I follow everyone back. If you give us a follow, I do try and check every few days and follow everyone back. So much appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers for coming on again, mate. You can find me here, Dugout Daily, on YouTube, of course. Hit the Apex on YouTube as well. That's the F1 channel. Dugout Daily, of course, the football channel. The first stream over on Hit the Apex should be tomorrow night, reviewing the Grand Prix from this weekend. So I'm looking forward to that one. You can find me at mchefsleyhibbs on Twitter. And yeah, that's it for today. And yeah, we'll see you all soon. Everybody, take care and goodbye for now.
Up the Blues.